Los Angeles County Real Estate Investors Association podcast. We do this every Tuesday at 3 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern Time, live stream it onto YouTube and Facebook. We get together to talk about all things real estate related, real estate investing related specifically. This is the official podcast for and the easy website I find is LAREIC, but Los Angeles County Real Estate Investors Association is the actual formal name, but LAREIC is the website. And we host a monthly event on the second Thursday of the month, live in the Culver City area of West Los Angeles at the Iman Center, right off of Motor, just south of the 10 freeway. And there, every month, we have a class with 250 people with a great speaker. And then we have vendors, of which yours truly is one of them. About 50 vendors that they're professionals in the business to help you learn and give you resources to help you be more successful in your path of real estate investing. Let's see, let me change the chat on the bottom. There was wrong. So let's change the streamer on the bottom. There we go. And then every month there's a guest. This coming month, the guest will be Christopher Meza. He's going to talk about pre-development real estate and land banking. Land banking is a great way to get started. Low money down, smaller price points, but it's definitely a way you can learn to get started in real estate investing. That'll be Thursday night, February 9th, 6:30. It's free parking, free event. If you get there, there's the vendors as well. There's free vendor expo. Love to have you come to that if you're interested. Additionally, we have Probate Weekly every Thursday at 4 p.m. I host a discussion on probate for real estate professionals and investors on how to find properties in probate. I interview people, interview attorneys and such. Love to have you join us for that. That's Thursdays at 4 p.m. Go to probateweekly.com and you can register for that. And then also on Facebook, we have a group, Probate Experts. All those of you who are interested in probate information, you can find there. Okay, so the net is hopping out because our speaker won't connect. I'm not sure if that's Nanette or Danette. Is one the same? But there we go. The net, you're not, I think I'm looking for Nadia. You're not a speaker today, are you? Maybe a different thing? No, okay, no, not related. Okay, good. So normally we have a speaker and we talk about real estate investing, but today we don't. So just a quick kind of recap of where the business is and where the market is. Real quick for those of you on the call, who here is an investor and who here is primarily a real estate professional? Put in the chat box either real estate investor or real estate professional so I can see who we're talking to. Real estate investor or real estate professional? Meaning, do you make a living in real estate or do you make a living in something else and take that extra money, put it into real estate as an investment, create passive income? Neither. Okay, Jack. Well, actually, you're a professional. You're an attorney that works with real estate professionals. So I'd call you a real estate professional related.
I know, I was being facetious.
Oh, I'm sorry. The attorney was making a joke, everybody. I think we get a little light behind you when you make a joke. It'll say, Jack is not making a joke. No, we'll miss it.
Oh, come on. Trust me, Bill. You know when I'm making a joke because they're actually funny. That's what makes me a unique attorney. I'm actually funny.
Okay, now was that a joke or is that being serious? I'm so confused. Jack Lapierre doesn't just play a attorney on our call, but he actually is a real attorney who we give business to and has really helped us out. And we're glad to have him participate. And if you don't follow Jack, you should. If you're a friend on Facebook, basically you follow him and his son to various sporting events throughout Southern California. Okay, Taylor's going to be a professional, great, hard-to investor. Richard Guillaume is a solar business. So, solar business is great, but you got to find some way to generate those leads. And I know solar people who make a living interacting with real estate investors and real estate agents as a way to generate business. So I would call you a professional, kind of an affiliated business as a way to make money. And then you would put your extra money into real estate. Fantastic. Okay. So, I'm sorry that I have a guest, and actually I did confirm with her, and I'm surprised she's not on. I don't see a text from her saying she's having technical issues. So I just assume at this point something came up and she's not available. Now we don't pay our guests, so you kind of get what you pay for sometimes. But I'm sorry about about that. But I want to open it up. If you're a real estate investor, if you have a question, we'd love to participate. Love to answer the question. Put in the chat box, or if you're really courageous, raise your hand. Let's get you on live. And let's talk about how to invest and make more money in real estate and how to build your business in this economy. Let me ask a question. So most of you guys are not real estate full-time professionals, but either related or investors. Who here thinks the real estate market is going to crash? Yes or no? If you think crash, put crash yes. If you think it's not going to crash, put crash no. No from Rachel. Thank you. No. Look at this. Look at this. Everybody's a no. I have to say, I feel the same way as you guys do. I saw an interesting article today that did a survey, proposed to be a survey of what people believe in the market. And it talked about how important real estate is, but it said that 2/3 of Americans say the housing market crash is imminent. Imminent, not just there's going to be a crash. You could say, well, there'll be a crash sometime at some point. Imminent. So question here, does that sound accurate, misleading? Do you think there's some other agenda? How do you guys explain that being news? NerdWallet is a significant blog and source of information in the personal financial space. How will you guys answer? Why is it that, what was the number again? 2/3 of Americans believe a housing crash is imminent. Is it propaganda? Is it not true? Do people not really believe that? They make that up? Are people being scared into believing that? Sweetie, what do you think is going on? Rachel says she thinks it's false evidence appearing real. The market appears all the time. So, Rachel, you're saying you think that people on their own are reading the information wrongly, as opposed to somebody giving them false information. Okay. But then you say false. Okay. Very good. Okay. So here's what I would love to say. What I would say, I do a post every week on the real estate market, and then I put the video on YouTube. Some of you get it, some of you watch it. Thank you for support. I believe, in fact, one of my heroes in real estate is from the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Who here has read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Who has read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Yeah. Rachel has. Okay. One of you. I would say if you're interested in real estate investing, must read. If you're going to invest your hard-earned money, if you're going to work during the day or night and save money and trust it to somebody else, buying something and hoping you get paid back, must read. Must read. You can probably get it for free on the internet. Must read. Interesting factoid. His latest book, he just came out. Again, he's published many books. His latest book says that the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad was really written to sell the game, the cash flow game. Who here has played the cash flow game? Put in the chat box or raise your hand. Who's played the Rich Dad, Poor Dad cash flow game? Must play. If you want to invest in real estate, must play. You want to get ahead financially, must play. If I did nothing but just sat here for an hour and said, you have to read the book, you have to play the game over and over again, it'd be the best hour of my life in terms of helping the human race. And Robert Kiyosaki, his latest book, points out, I think quite correctly, that our education system doesn't just not teach personal finance or investing. It teaches the opposite on purpose. Now, I don't know if you call that being a conspiracy nut or not. I'll leave that to you to judge. But what's clear is nobody understands personal finance as a result of their public school education. Nobody, or college education for that matter. Nobody I've ever met. And so what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of different meanings to that. If you play the game, the cash flow game, one is, you know what the game is, right? Anybody who's played the cash flow game, what's the purpose of the game? Right? Monopoly only wins when you beat everybody, the last person standing. What's the purpose of the cash flow game? What's the goal of the cash flow game? Anybody? We used to have a lady on this call regularly. Perfect, Richard. That's the right answer. We used to have a lady on this call regularly. She was a title representative, and she moved to Northern California. She's not here anymore. And she used to organize virtual cash flow. She had live cash flow games before the pandemic and then did virtual. The answer is to get out of the rat race. The rat race is defined as having to work for a paycheck every week or month or year. The goal of the game called cash flow, and Robert Kiyosaki would say the goal of finances is for you to make enough money to get out of your rat race, to not have to work. Now, you might continue to work to make more assets to put into the machine to make more money. The goal is to get out of the game and then be a passive investor or an employee or business owner, operator by choice to make more money. Right? That's the goal of the cash flow game. It's an amazing game. And the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, is an amazing book. And so I would recommend anybody who's serious about getting started or building their portfolio, reread it if you haven't read it in 5 or 10 years. I guess I just got Robert Kiyosaki's latest book, and he kind of reviews a lot of the same concepts over and over again. Absolutely amazing, groundbreaking, fundamental. Oh, look at that. That's nice. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so we're going to remove. Unbelievable.
Like it's the same guy.
You know, at some point, I could stop, create a new sign up and create new login information, I guess. You'd think if they get thrown out enough times. The good news is, just for you guys who don't know, the good news is that number one, I've learned how to remove them and they can't come back in. Number two is the good news is that, I broadcast this using another software that blocks all that out. So unless I make you the primary focus, other than those in a Zoom call, I'm sorry that you guys have to see that. But the good news is the rest of them are it doesn't go into my YouTube, it doesn't go into Facebook, which would be public and would be humiliating, even more so than it is now. I don't really get what the point of that is. So here's a good point. What's the difference between that idiot who just did this pornographic Zoom bomb, whatever thrill that is, and anybody who's playing the game Rich Dad Poor Dad? What's the difference between those two people? Anybody? Raise your hand, put in the chat box. I'll unmute you. Oh, yeah. One is playing Rich Dad Poor Dad, you set yourself up for success. Obviously, showing pornographic Zoom bombs is just a waste of time, right? I think the other one is that the only way you can really make wealth is helping other people. The only way really, if you think about what's real estate investing, you're buying a house for somebody and being a landlord. Hopefully they're happy enough to pay you rent to be happy there and to live there for a long time. You can't make money as a landlord screwing people in the long run. You really can't. The people who make money, in my experience today, as landlords in Southern California, with all the restrictions we have, is they do a better job of taking care of their customers than other people do. And so I think part of why people go into destructive behavior at some point is they don't see a path where they can improve themselves. And I'm here to tell you all, if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad and you follow it bit by bit, I've made great progress in the last 5 years towards financial freedom. It's real. It happens. It's just simple math. I don't care if you're tall, short, black, white, or green, male, female, or something else. It doesn't matter what you are. Those principles are immutable laws of success. And I'm here to help anybody interested in participating in them. And anybody on this call who's professional as well is anxious to help you, either directly or refer somebody who can. The guy who does solar, was that Richard? Are you the one who does solar? Right? I am not buying solar. To be honest, I was approached by a company to interview a solar person on this call to make them like one of the guests for a week. I'm not against it. I'm just not on board with it. Nothing personal. We can have a long debate about as to why, and we disagree. I wish you the greatest of success, and I'm glad to know you, because if I know somebody needs solar, I could refer them to you and help them get what they want. I don't want it necessarily, but I want you to be successful. Real success, real capitalism, real business success is helping other people. That's how we create value. And so it's not about me being right and so right that I wish you bad, right? I don't want your soul to go to business. I disagree with you. I'm busy doing what I do. I do me, you do you. Oh, and along the way, today I was walking literally. I walk for exercise for an hour at noon. And I'm walking, and for some reason, somebody stops me and asks me, do I know any vegans? That was a question I got. Now, I said, I'm sure I do, but nobody comes to mind. I couldn't think of anybody. I don't know that I know people's eating habits that well. I used to be a vegetarian. My daughter is very into vegan food, and her favorite restaurant is a vegan restaurant. We go there once in a while, but I don't think she qualifies as a vegan. And I said, I'm curious why. Well, I have a website and I'm this. I'm trying to spread the word on. And she started giving me a whole speech about it. I said, listen, I don't agree with all what you're doing, but I definitely would like to see you be successful at it. And I'm glad to have your website to share with anybody I know who's a vegan. Why not? Your neighbor, I hope you have success. And that way you can afford to take care of your home and you can afford to pay taxes and be a happy neighbor and smile when you drive down the street. I'm not. Now, should I eat less meat? Yeah. I had dairy instead of meat today for lunch. I should cut down on my meat. And am I on board with all the global warming and part of that as it relates to vegan food? No, but I don't need to argue with her about that. I want her to be successful. Even though we might disagree on some of the fundamentals, I can respect her. And more importantly, as a capitalist, I want her to be successful. I don't want her to ban my hamburgers. But if she gets people to eat vegetables instead of beef, and that's good for them health-wise, good for the planet, I don't have a problem with it. I wish her all the best. That's rich dad, poor dad versus pornographic Zoom bombing. So yeah, Hillman put one's an idiot, one's not. Yeah, it goes deeper than that. The core of why people do stupid things is a lack of self-respect and self-esteem. And also, core of it is a lack of humility. He thinks that he's so important, or she, that they need to impress upon you their point of view with pornography. And be honest, I don't even care if the person watches pornography. Not my life, not my judgment. I do me, you do you. I don't care if he hangs up or is on the other screen watching pornography while on this call. It's not really my job. Just don't throw it down other people's throats. That's where you cross the line. Okay, that's me on my moral high plane today. A couple other things I just want to share. I launched a new podcast on Mondays at 5 p.m. called Business Secrets of the Bible, not from a religious point of view, but unquestionably the Bible is the most successful book ever written by numbers and readership. And I would also say that more business people attribute their business success to the principles of the Bible than any other book, let alone the religion, let alone the spiritual part. Just the principles in that book. I've heard more millionaires and more multimillionaires attribute that book than anything else in my career. As a result, my goal is every week to take one or two sentences and share it and then have a discussion. So if you're interested, again, non-religious, non-spiritual, non-judgmental, I happen to be religious, I happen to be Jewish, but that is incidental to that book, in my opinion. But if you'd like to join us on Mondays at 5 p.m., I'd love to have you. Text or email me. I'd be glad to give you a link for that information. Okay, so we are on YouTube as well. And BWWSS is watching us on YouTube, said no. I can't remember what question I asked you on. So I'm sorry, BWWSS, but thank you for participating today. Anybody have any questions, comments? Raise your hand, put in the chat box, me. I'd be glad to unmute you or bring you on video. I can't, if I know who you are, I'm glad to, you just raise your hand, I'm glad to unmute you. If I don't know who you are, I'm going to have you go in the chat box. Anybody have any questions, comments? No? I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to our guest. I confirmed again today. I don't really know. I feel bad for you guys. If you came to learn about termite reports, I will say it was a great company. They've done a great job for me. Free service. They do an inspection for free on an escrow, and that way you can get a quote to your customer. And I've used them, and they're fantastic. I hope they're busy with a lot of new orders, I guess. So before we wrap up, any questions or comments? Any victories you guys want to? I'll tell you guys this. Let me give you one other piece of information. Mark Prado, I'm curious if anybody is using the add/BRRRR strategy in this market. Okay, Mark Prado, you're going to have to explain what you mean by add. I imagine it means a value add. And then what BRRR is going to be. Well, go ahead. Why don't you explain what you mean by that?
Hi. Well, I listen to Bigger Pockets a lot, and they talk about it a lot on
Sure.
there, where you take usually they're referring to a multifamily property, and they will add value to the property. So they buy it, they renovate. I always say it wrong, but I think it's renovate it, rent it, and then refinance. I know I'm forgetting one of the R's in there.
And repeat.
Repeat. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Basically that.
So his question is, and I would say, look, I love Bigger Pockets. I'm a member. I pay to be part of it. I listen to the podcast on YouTube. I think they're great. Great source of information, great source of good information. The problem I find, though, with it is twofold. One, it makes it sound too easy. I think it's kind of like there used to be a saying, everybody puts their best clothes on when they go to church. I don't think that's true anymore. But I think on Bigger Pockets podcast, I think that there's a tendency of the guests to kind of put the best foot forward to inspire people. And I don't believe it gives you an accurate reflection of how hard it is, how hard these people work, how committed they are to their business, to their craft. Because when I meet them individually, there's no question these people are consumed with their project and their success in a positive way. But it's hard work. There's disappointments. There's setbacks along the way. The only growth comes from setbacks along the way. And so there's a false impression created that if you listen to enough Bigger Pockets and find the right strategy and the right plan, you can avoid failures, you can avoid setbacks. And I don't, not only do I not think you can avoid failure setback, I don't think the world's designed to work that way. I think the world's designed to work that we grow through setbacks, and our failures are the beginnings, the seeds of our future success. There's a famous story of two people walking by a cocoon that had a caterpillar in it that's trying to become a butterfly. And they walked by and they saw the poking out of a little bit of the point of the wings of one of the butterflies, pushing and pushing against the cocoon. And there's pushing and pushing and struggling. And the two men watching are just themselves uncomfortable, watching how hard it seems like a fight for life this butterfly is going through. And it gets it open, it gets it about halfway open, and seems stuck there for a long time. And so the man takes a knife and just kind of cuts it and lets the butterfly out easily. And the butterfly gets out of the cocoon, falls to the ground, and can't fly. Because the process of fighting out of the cocoon drains the liquid out of the butterfly's wings and allows it to grow, the beautiful wings that allow it to fly. And without having struggled, the liquid was still in the wings. It had no other way to get it out of the wings. It didn't know what to do and ended up not being able to fly and therefore die. I think it's a metaphor for our lives. We think that when we lose, the world's over. And it feels that way sometimes for all of us. But the reality is, it's the losing that gives us the growth, that gives us the clarity, that gives us the commitment to go forward and be successful. And so I think the challenge of listening to what I think, you listen to people on some of these podcasts, and they're amazing people. There's a lot to be learned there. But the challenge is, hey, how I went from 0 to 10,000 units in 2 years. And it's great that they did it, and they're amazing that they accomplished it. It doesn't mean you can or should have that same path. And odds are you won't. Odds are your path will look different. And that doesn't mean you can't follow and shouldn't follow people who are successful to learn from the principles. What I find by listening to people's stories in a longer format over and over again is that people's stories always include major setbacks that were the precursor of their success down the road. Michael Jordan classically being cut from his high school basketball team, and the passion that gave him to improve his game that next season. And you hear that story over and over and over again in sports and in life. Abraham Lincoln famously lost a bunch of elections, and other people went on to accomplish great things. So again, I love bigger pockets for the information. Just be careful, because that BRRR strategy sounds so simple, but I know people who do that for a living. Look, as an investor, as a limited partner, I invest in those companies. And I might look at 100 deals to find one to invest in. And the people who do those programs full time will tell you it's hard work. They're looking for deals constantly. They're looking for money constantly. They're looking for financiers constantly, vendors constantly, improving their team constantly. I invested with a company 2 years ago that had done great. They had to fire the whole management team, property management and so on, for a 250 unit building, and rehire everybody in the middle of their project. Hard to do, but it has to get done. And so again, I think the strategy is great. There's no right strategy. What I've learned about real estate, there's no right strategy. There's the right strategy for you. And find the one that's going to work for you and help you with your business and your personal goals. So as far as using the BRRR strategy, I've had people on here who are syndicators. I've had people on here who've done projects. I think a week or two ago, I had on Abbas Muhammad, who does the BRRR strategy. Great guy. But just be careful. That strategy, he's an amazing talent. To do that on your own is very challenging, to do it at a large scale like that. But if anybody else has experience on it, share with it. Please jump in. We'd love to hear what you've done with it. Or any other questions. I'm definitely all ears if you are if you have a question or comment you want to make about real estate business. I think we're caught up in the chat on YouTube and Facebook. So I agree. I always think that the guests are leaving out important details. Yeah, it's not just, I don't think they leave it on purpose. I think, first off, many of them have never been in a position to coach other people. They're newly successful. And there's a stage in life where you're successful, and the next level of success is helping other people. And I think probably being older, I've spent a lot of the last 20 years coaching other people's success. And what I've learned is the sooner they figure out it's going to be tough, then the sooner they can then get tough and do what they have to do to be successful. So I'd much rather just give people that grit and tell them from the beginning, you can accomplish anything, put your mind to it, but anything's going to look pretty tough if your goals are big. Okay, that's really all I have. Any other questions, comments before we wrap up here? I don't see any other hands up. I don't see any other questions in the chat box. I think we're up to date. No? Okay. Well, again, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened to our guest. I'm sure there's an explanation. Hopefully we gave her too much business and she's busy with it. That's the nature of this program. But we do usually have a guest that we interview here to make the process interesting and have you guys learn. And next week I have a great guest lined up who actually met through this call, and she's a home inspector I used recently. I'm going to have her share kind of the pitfalls and success and strategies to be successful when you use a home inspector. So we'll do that next week, a week from today. In the meantime, if I can help you guys at all, feel free to reach out. I'm on social media at Bill Gross EXP. Call, text, or email me. Do we ever get to connect with people in the group? Hillman, feel free to put in the group your contact info, your name, your phone number, how to reach you. And feel free to put your information in there as well. If you want people, put in there what you'd like to talk to people about. If you're an investor, put what you're looking for. If you're a syndicator, put what you're pitching. If you're a real estate agent, put in the area that you service. Love to have people come here and network. Also, love to have people come to the LAProbate event and network there. So feel free, if I can help you in some way, Hillman, please, and reach out to me. I'd love to meet you and see how I can help you with your business. And with that said, Jack Lapidus, great attorney, does a real estate law practice based on disputes and litigation. I've referred customers to him happily. We're glad to pay his fees for the fantastic service and representation they get. And he also collects old Apple hardware. Check the chat box for details there. So just to wrap up again, this is the official podcast for the LA Real Estate Association Real Estate Investment Club. We do this. This is LAREIC.com is the website. We have once a month meeting live in the Culver City area of West Los Angeles at the Iman Center. We get about 250 people at a class, and then we have about 50 people at the Vendor Expo. It's free, Thursday, November 9th, 6:30 p.m. Love to see you there. Free, and our guest will be Christopher Meza this month on pre-development real estate and land banking. So love to see you there if that works for you. Gregory Hillman, very good. Thank you for putting your info in. We put out 30 plus deals on. Greg Hillman, nice to meet you. Thanks for participating and hope to get a chance to meet you personally. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.